people, I think it's the first time that you guys are joining. So hi everyone, welcome to today's session. And I need to check, I think this is going live on YouTube as well. And I don't know if it's live at the moment, if it's not live, but if it's live, hi everyone from YouTube. Thank you so much for joining in. And I am actually so excited for the session that we're going to have today, solely because of the reason that we have somebody really special in the house today. A lot of you have already met her. Some of you, it's the first time that you're meeting her. So considering that this is the first time that you guys are going to be meeting her, let me tell you this, that you guys are in for a lovely ride. You guys are in for an amazing ride, solely because you guys, once you leave the session today, you're going to leave with so much insights. You're going to leave with so many tips. You're going to leave with so many tricks that will not only make your application process a little bit smooth, but it will also make your applications like 10 times better. Because when we are navigating through the study abroad space, there are so many resources that we come across, but how do we decide which one is for us, right? So once we leave this session, you and me, all of us are going to actually leave with a lot of information. Now, before we start today's session, we actually like to keep it quite casual here, and we like to interact with you guys more than we like to talk, because obviously we'd like to know your journey and we'd like to see and hear from you. Why are you studying abroad and what are some resources that you need? So on the same note, let me introduce myself first. So hi everyone, my name is Morvi and I used to study in Mumbai, but I now live in a city with a horrible weather condition. I live in Jaipur, Rajasthan. And what else about me? I really am passionate about the study abroad industry. The reason is that there is so much opportunities, number one, that you can learn about. Number two, the stories that come up, especially in this space, sometimes they're very funny, sometimes they're very sentimental. So the stories never end. And there are so many things that can go right, so many things that can go wrong. So yeah, I'm really passionate and I'm really excited for today's session. So that's about me. And I also like to see other people talk about themselves in the Q&A. The chat might not be working for you guys. So guys, quickly go ahead and let me know who you are, where you're joining in from. And yeah, introduce yourself. Let's make it an interactive session, right? I can see a lot of people are here. I think a lot of people from YouTube also are joining in. So guys, from YouTube, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, join in the session. That's happening, the main session. You will only be able to ask questions here. And for YouTube, for my YouTube audience who might be asking questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section and our team will be able to pick it up from there. Oh, hi, Savita. Savita is from Bangalore. Awesome. What about other people? Guys, I am not moving forward with this session unless I get some responses, okay? Let's build the energy. You guys have to apply abroad. Hi, good evening. This is Naganjan from Andhra. Okay. Hi, Naganjan. And hi, Vikas from Bangalore. Vikas, you have a lovely, great, your name. Oh, Manoj is from Mars, everyone. So you might want to not stay away, but anybody who's interested in getting to know a little bit more about space, please hit up Manoj. Okay. Gurashish from Ambala City, currently working in IT and want to pursue MS in fall 2024. Awesome. Nice to meet you. And nice to meet you, Manoj, as well. I rarely come across people from Mars. Hi, Riti from Mumbai. Excited for the session. So am I. Hi, Dhruv from Mumbai. Okay, awesome. So I've gotten a few responses. I also want to ask this particular question to you guys. Okay, so I've launched a poll for you. And go ahead, answer the poll so that it will help me understand who you are and what should we steer towards, what should we talk about today, and what should the direction of this conversation be. Okay, hi, good evening. I'm Nikhil from Andhra Pradesh. Glad to have this session. I'm looking for spring 2024. Hi, Nikhil. I am also so glad to have you here and I'm so excited for today's session. Okay, we have most of the audience here is for fall 2024, some audience for spring 2024. By the way, guys, on the second question, you can select more than one. So US obviously is there, Canada, UK are all and the same thing. We have somebody applying for France. Can you raise your hand and let me know who here is applying for France? We have 2 people applying for France. Who here is applying for France? Use the raise hand button in your Zoom account and let me know. We have Dhruv applying for France. Awesome. And nobody here has started the application process. Okay. Most beginners, intermediate. Okay. Awesome. How do we decide between fall and spring intake? Okay. This is the question that you might want to ask our guest for today. How many of you here have already met Fiona? I have. I know for a fact that I have. Okay, not a lot of people. So guys, let me introduce Fiona to you. And you know it for a fact that I'm going to really hype this up, because whenever she's around, we have the best of session, and the information that I also personally get is just off the charts. So guys, this is Fiona, and she is a counseling manager here at Yocket. She has been behind the success stories of thousands of students here at Yocket. And now that we have started receiving admits for fall 2023, she has been the working force and the entire Yocket team, obviously, but she has some of the best insights. And I wouldn't like to call them shortcuts, but if you're looking for clear, direct advice on how to make your application better, she's the person that you should be asking your question to. So hi, Fiona, welcome to the session.
Hey, Morvi, thank you so much for having me again for this webinar. It's always exciting to see such a lot of students. Everybody is excited to start their journey for the overseas process. So yeah, thank you so much. And that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you. It's very, I mean, I love the introduction that you give. But yes, I mean, we have an entire team who is always working with the students to get them amazing admits with the entire process. So I am just kind of just a catalyst there. That's it, nothing else. So I just give them a bit of direction, and the rest, of course, is the entire team there. Yeah.
Definitely. So thank you so much for being here again. And as you know, whenever anybody, in fact, the entire counseling team is around, whenever our editors are also around, we have some of the best sessions then. So thank you so much. I think we have Shubham here from Muscat. So hi, Shubham, we have already got a national audience. So, okay, great. Now, I think, Fiona, we got to understand that most of the audience here is for fall 2024 for US, as we expected. But a lot of them have not started their application process. So that is something that I would actually like to address today, that a lot of them have not specifically started their application process. So right off the bat, guys, you have to start your application process for fall 2024. Spring 2024, guys, you need to start as soon as possible. So before we actually formally get into today's session, there is one question that I'd like to ask you guys, and I want the answer from everyone. That what, according to you, is the biggest challenge when it comes to studying abroad? So what will be, according to you, what will be a mammoth that you'll have to get over in your application journey? For some people, it's visa. For some people, it's loan. For some people, like myself, it's the SOP and LORs. For some people, it might be the entire application process. So what is a big problem that you wish that we would address in today's session? And people from YouTube, you guys can also chip in. Okay, SOP and choosing the university and location, we've gotten Shubham. Okay. And resume building. Oh, this is the first time that we've actually gotten somebody who asked very specifically for resume. Course to select and the university to choose. Ritika. Ritika, did we meet in a previous session? Your name sounds oddly familiar. Shortlisting universities. Okay. Yes, we did. I think it was yesterday's session only that I met her. Okay, courses to select, which application process. I'm also trying for fall 2024, shortlisting universities and diversifying the chances to get in. Okay, and loans and choosing course. Okay, so we understand. So today, I think, Fiona, in this session, let's actually try to give them tips and tricks on how to make their application process and smoother and their application better. So the first thing that I think I can see that a lot of people are asking is, what course do I need to choose and how should I choose university? And that is, I'm sure that a lot of people from YouTube must also have this question.
Yeah. All right. So I think, yeah, that was the first thing that I saw, that everyone was asking about which program, which area of study, and how to basically shortlist. I mean, guys, you're kind of spot on with the area that you're looking at. Shortlisting and choosing the program is is a very intriguing process as well. Plus, it's a very lengthy process. It's not something which happens just over a few days. It takes a bit of time, right? Because see, the world is your oyster, right? So you need to kind of understand where exactly you can apply, which countries suit you better based on the kind of options you want post your completion as well, post the studies. So I think all that kind of comes into the picture here. So I'll kind of get down to it. When you talk about the program or the area of study, I think the first thing that you need to understand is what area of study or work are you currently in. So there might be students who want to shift their area of study as well. Like you might be from some other engineering background. A lot of students work in the area of, say, data sciences or analytics, something, or even business analytics, and then they want to go in for something similar to that, which is not which is similar to their work experience, but not to their studies. Some people, of course, are from the same background. Say, for example, I have a lot of CS students. The majority of the programs that we have for students or where they go is related to CS. So it's DS, MLAI, MSBA, computer engineering. We have MIS as well, all related to that, right? So there, I think you need to figure out or need to understand what is your forte, basically. Where is which area do you see yourself working in the short term and the long term as well? You don't have to think of the long term as such. I think short term is more than enough. It's around 3 to 5 years. You should kind of figure out that after your studies, this is what you want to do. So if, for example, you want to search, you want to look for specific areas in your main area or the main subject, like CS, for example. So there you have a lot of options. Maybe you don't want to go down the same beaten track, right, of going into just data analytics or sciences, which is, I think, the topmost or the most popular programs anywhere in the world. And US, UK, Canada, they are the best ones to actually offer these programs. You can also look at something to do with robotics, maybe something like that. I'm just giving you an example, right? You can also look at something like MIS as well. Maybe you worked for a while and you want to kind of delve a little towards the management aspect of things as well, or project management. So you can do that. General engineering students can also go in for engineering management. So any engineering you've done, whether it's mechanical or CS or metallurgy, chemical, anything, you can actually look at going into MEM as well, which is a good area. So a lot of these questions arise, and of course you want to understand that you'll have that ROI once you complete your program. So you want to go in for something and to some country and city specifically where you can have a lot of options for work, because see, that's the end game for us, right? So we do our masters, we are putting in maybe say nearly ₹1 crore if you're talking about US, or maybe within that budget. So you have to have that foresight that you want to get something back as soon as possible, because you have to pay up a loan as well. You can't possibly put everything from your savings or your parents' savings, right? It's not fair on them. So you should take a loan. So even if you have to return that loan, you need to have a degree where you're highly skilled, where it will add on to your current profile. So always go in for a program where you can check the modules which suit you to your liking. The first thing. The second thing is that it should add to whatever you've done. It should not be repetitive, because if you've already done something like that in your bachelor's and you have around 40 to 50% of the same modules, that you'll be doing in your master's, it would be kind of not feasible for you, because you'll be paying, say, more than what you've already learned, right? And practically, I'm sure that you must have learned more. So look at those modules as well, whether you're learning more, whether you're learning less, whether there's something extra or more electives that you're looking at. So with any universities abroad, when you talk about masters, the beauty about their programs is that you have core modules that you need to do, right? And you have a lot of electives which you can choose from. So you don't need to stick to just yours area. You don't even need to go in for a specialization. You can dabble in a couple of different modules, understand, okay, this is what I want to do. Maybe there are a couple of different things that you want to do together. Like me, I am not interested in just one thing. I do a lot of different things, right? So I want to maybe do a couple of different modules, ML bhi le liya, AI bhi le liya, maybe you take something else, robotics also, engineering as well as computer engineering. So something like that you can actually take, and you can customize your masters as well, which is good. So check for these modules, check for what you're learning. That's the best thing, because you should also love what you're going to learn. You know, you should love the kind of masters that you're going in for. It should not be something like, okay, masters karna hai, I just want a job, I just want to complete it, right? So it should not, that should not be in your head. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, guys, and I'm sure you are the chosen few or the lucky ones who actually have that option to go abroad. Not everyone does, right? So think of that as well. So anyway, so once you've kind of decided that, there are other things that you need to understand apart from choosing your program. Once you've selected that, then the next part comes the budget part, which is of course very important, right? It all depends. Everybody has different sources of income, different kinds of income levels as well. So based on that, on what kind of loan and the amount of loan that you can get, which you can ask. We have financial advisors here as well, so you can actually ask us as to how much you can get based on the kind of income that you have. Once your budget is set, then you can look at certain countries. So if your budget is like sky high, right, you don't have any limit as such. I have students who say that no limit, we just want to spend on a good a good degree. So you can look at US, you can also look at UK. Australia is also a very good place for CS if somebody is looking for that. So kind of get those countries kind of sorted. Then comes your preferences in terms of the location. A lot of people do take the weather aspect into consideration a lot. I'm sure, Morvi, you also might have thought of that. I'm not sure whether you're used to cold weather or hot weather, but being in Rajasthan, I'm sure hot is okay for you now.
Yeah, definitely. So one of my
Exactly.
criteria was to not go somewhere where I won't be able to bear the cold. Otherwise, I'll come home running back. I don't want to put myself through that.
Exactly. So I have a lot of students who, students from the north, of course, are used to the cold. We always have cold waves going on during the winters, but towards the south, people are not exactly used to it. You know, you have to wear a lot of clothes. So it's like the more clothes you wear, it still doesn't suffice. So if you're okay with cold, yes, you can choose those regions. Like Canada is cold to coldest. They don't have warm weather at all, actually. And then you can choose US, where you have all kinds of weather. So you go towards the east, it will be slightly colder. Towards the north, yes, south and west, it will be slightly warmer and temperate. So things like that also need to be taken into account, because that should not hamper your studies or your work or any internships that you want to do. Because if it has an adverse impact on the way your body functions, right, you won't be able to put that much effort in your studies. So please take that into account as well. The next would be, of course, the location. In terms of location, what I mean is it depends on the kind of program or the area of studies that you're going in for. So there are certain states or certain cities in different countries where certain areas of work are more prevalent and there are more opportunities. So you should look at those. So if, for example, I talk about US, everybody knows for CS, the East Coast universities and California towards the West, they are the best, including, of course, Texas as well, and a couple of universities, say in Washington as well. So things like that you can take into account, but just don't focus on just the location, because if you have got into really good universities, very high ranked ones, even if the location is not good, say for example, Michigan, Ann Arbor, the location is not very, very good in the sense that they have a lot of companies there itself in Ann Arbor, but given that name on your profile, on your resume, would actually help you get a lot of jobs anywhere around the world, across the globe. So you have to bear that in mind as well. So if you're applying at high ranked universities, location should not be such an issue. If you're say applying to moderate to safe universities, then location should be an aspect which you should look at, right? So that way you can kind of understand how to shortlist. The next thing comes, of course, is are the settlement options. A lot of students say that we don't want to come back to India. I understand that. A lot of students, when they go abroad, they kind of get used to the environment there. It's pretty free. A lot of creativity is acceptable. Nobody kind of looks the second time to ask you as to why you're doing certain things or not. It's very free, right? But yes, if you are looking for a PR or something, then you should aim for certain countries. US should not, of course, be one country if you're aiming for a PR, for sure. There it's only by invite. If they invite you to become a citizen, then you can, but not otherwise. If it's a PR thing, then Canada, Australia, even Ireland are these 3 countries where you should look at if you're talking about PR, because they have an open PR policy. But just remember that you should have good skills, you should have a master's which is in a technical area or a professional area, so that you're able to actually compete with the kind of labor that they already have in the country. So just think about that also. So these are the kind of things that you should think of or consider when you're talking about shortlisting. And also the last thing but not the least is the kind of ranking you're looking at. So guys, just don't look at the overall ranking of all the universities. All the universities, if you talk about QS ranking for universities all over the globe, you will get an overall ranking. That doesn't mean that every university in the top 50 will have all the departments good there, right? So there are certain universities which are outright renowned for certain places, certain departments. There are certain others where certain departments would not be good, right? So if you talk about, say, for example, the UC system, that's the University of California system, you can go in for any science or engineering program there, but the best ones that you have there would be related to CS, right? CS or software engineering or computer engineering, they are the ones, the best ones there. If you talk about MBAs, then your Eastern Coast would have more or better options when you talk about B schools, right? So things like that you should take into consideration. If a person is going in for biomedical sciences, then there are different universities where you can apply. Aeronauticals here, then you can look at universities in Texas or in Florida, because they have both the bases there. So the aerospace bases, right? So you can actually get good options for studies and good departments there. So base your the ranking part on the department more than the overall ranking, because rankings have a lot of different things that they take into consideration. It's the kind of the funding they get for research, the kind of professors they have, different things like the kind of facilities they have as well. So not everything is there for every university. So focus on the department. That will help you get better universities rather than just the overall ranking, right? Yeah, that's, I hope that answers the bit about shortlisting. So yeah, those are the things that you should consider.
Right. And I mentioned actually a lot of things which I was quite shocked to find out while I started my journey, that, you have to take into account this as well and this. And as I think a lot of people here think that, if I'm only applying to a ranked university, that is enough to show my motivation. Actually, once you're applying,
Yes.
this came through personal experience, that I was talking to an alumni, and one of the top schools, one of the top business schools in the world, HEC Paris, actually does not like applicants talking extensively about the school. They would like to see applicants' motivation post HEC.
Exactly.
And how does HEC fit into their perspective, into their career goals? So a lot of different universities have a lot of different things to offer, and you rightly mentioned. Now, since we're talking about top universities, I think this fall 2023 has been amazing for us, and we've received really amazing admits. So we recently had a session with an admit from Columbia University, and he also had a backlog in semester 1. So he actually started from there, that initially he did not feel that this was going to happen. He thought that it was too far away. IVs were not going to happen, but then it happened. So I want to understand, I got the perspective from his side, but now I want to understand from you, having been in the study abroad industry for so long, do we have an admit cracking profile? And if so, what goes into it? What are some things that, let's say, a college student or somebody who's working needs to make sure is on their profile, so that it becomes more competitive than the profile of other students who are also applying?
Great. Okay, so I think, I think that's a good question as well. And I'm sure a lot of students would like to apply at the top universities anywhere in the world. So I think if we talk about the factors to consider, there are a few factors. The first thing is, if you have already decided to apply, say a year or 2 years in advance, then, and if you've been working as well, so you should focus on the career progression that you've had. So that is one of the things that actually helps. Say, for example, I've had a lot of students who come to me and they're like, we have around 7 to 8 years of experience, and I'm sure that we can actually get into, the top university. So I said, it's not exactly, it doesn't work that way. Just because you've been working for 7 to 8 years, maybe kind of in a constant area, you haven't had very, you haven't gone up the hierarchy, you haven't actually had any success in a lot of projects, but you've just been working. So that doesn't add to your profile. It just shows that you've been working, right? A lot of people work, but you have to show that career progression as well. If you've been working, I've had some students who've had career progression during 6 months of their work. They've been promoted to a manager or promoted to some other level, right? Project managers and stuff like that. So that actually adds a lot of weightage to your profile, because they see that the person has that ability to, you kind of experience things, take the opportunity, take on leadership roles, and of course take projects and take the team forward. So if you actually do that, that helps. So even if you're not applying for an MBA, it works for even normal master's program as well, because even there you have to take up your own projects. There are certain projects that you have to submit, you have to take presentations, you have to do a lot of different things. So career progression is one for those people who are working, should be there, and you should be able to explain that progression on your SOP. That's where you kind of explain that, right? The other thing is, like you mentioned, a couple of students with backlogs. Even previous, we've had a lot of students with say 16 or 15 backlogs, but of course they had valid reasons for that. They've got into universities like NYU Stern. I'm talking about Stern, not the normal, the other NYU. They've also got into Minnesota Twin Cities, Michigan Ann Arbor, UC Berkeley. But the only thing is that the reasons should be valid. They should show some kind of a stage where you've overcome certain hurdles or obstacles and then gone past that and then got a good grade also. Just because you've got backlogs, that doesn't mean you'll say, okay, I've got 55% because of this reason. No, that doesn't work. If you've got backlogs, but you've got say 8.5 CGPA or 9, that works. It works well, right? So it shows that you've progressed, you've come across or overcome those obstacles, you've done well. So that can, of course, be again explained in your SOP, even in essays or personal statements that they ask you. The other thing is the admission requirements for the top ranked institutions should not always be at the minimum. So guys, this is something of a deal breaker for a lot of students who might want to apply at say Columbia or Stanford or Harvard or even Oxford, Cambridge, whatever it is. Even LSE or LBS, for example, HEC Paris, right? You should have a good GPA. Now, just because you meet the entry requirements, the eligibility, they say, okay, 3.0 is what is required and you can apply. That doesn't mean that you will actually get an admit, right? So just think about it. Lakhs of people apply from our country, right? There are lakhs of other people who apply from different countries. Lakhs, I mean, not just lakh. And when they apply, they also have a competitive profile, right? So in order for you to know what kind of profile certain universities have, specifically if you talk about the top ranked ones, you'll get to know that on their own websites as well. So once you go through that page where you have details about the program, you can actually get details about the previous class that actually passed from the same program. So you will get an idea as to what kind of GPA there is. So whenever you talk about these top ranked universities, the GPA is somewhere around something which you should have a mean average there. And when you talk about GRE, if it is required, then yes, nothing less than 320 is what you should aim for. If you get a 320, it's good. So that's something that you cannot go past. That is something that you should have. And the other thing is, it's not a trick, but apply as soon as possible. Try to apply in the first deadlines. Don't wait for the next deadlines. If you're like, okay, I haven't had much time to prepare, I can apply in the rolling deadlines. Please don't do that, because if you take longer to apply, there'll be less seats available, there'll be more competition, less scholarships, a lot of disadvantages if you apply late. So if you guys, if you're here for fall 24, I think most of them are for fall 24, you're actually right in time. So start off the process now. If you've not taken your exams, your test scores, please get them. Start off with the shortlisting, start off with your LORs, your SOP, which needs a lot of work. So like shortlisting would require somewhere around 2 to 3 weeks, maybe more than that, because sometimes it's always good to sit on it, think about it, go get into the depth and detail of the programs. You should also work on your SOP. So that is another point. Your SOPs, essays, personal statements, or extra set of questions that are asked by most of these top universities, please do them as early as possible so that you can have more time to introspect, retrospect, whatever it is, think about it, any changes you need to make, it should not be that once you've applied, you'll be like, oh crap, I should have written this, I should have written that. So that should not happen. So put that out there. The editors, of course, will help you with that. They'll always check the content first and let you know that, okay, according to your resume, these are a couple of things that you should add, which will, kind of help your SOP to be one of the better ones. So I think these are a couple of things which you should focus on when you're applying. So the first, as we mentioned, is if somebody has work experience, please show some career progression. If somebody actually has some backlogs or something, mention that a valid reason of overcoming certain things in your SOP. Start working on your SOPs and essays as soon as possible. And also the last thing is, as I said, apply in time. Don't wait for the last date. Don't wait for the second deadline. So if that goes for you, Morvi, as well. As soon as you want to apply, please apply as soon as possible, because that's always the best time. So I think these are the main things that you should take into account, guys.
Right. And actually, one thing that I learned from you only in the previous session was that you just do not need to, because I constantly get this question, and I also had this question, but I think through one of the sessions, I got to learn this from you only, that if you're looking for just a research, or if you're looking for an internship, so universities are not looking for the number, but what went into that internship, or what did you actually learn from the research? Because if all of your research and internship is just on the same horizon, same horizontal level, it shows essentially nothing that you've learned. So that is also something that was actually mind-blowing for me, that it does not matter the number of internships or the number of research papers you have done, because I see a lot of people asking that, do I need work experience, then only will I be able to apply? It actually, you just need to, at the end of the day, I think, show the motivation for the industry, for the work that you want to do. So
exactly.
I think that is something that I think everybody should take care of. And I think you're asked a question that how do we look and finalize universities? Because I think it only looks at QS website to understand the ranking.
Yeah. See, Dhruv, if you have got admits now, are you talking about finalization of the shortlist or finalization after admits received? Because there'll be two different answers to that.
Let's maybe take into account shortlist, because everybody here is for fall 2024. I don't think anybody here has gotten an admit yet.
Exactly. So if we talk about the shortlist, see, QS website, as I said, it's good to understand the rankings, but if you're looking at, say, only a specific country, say, for example, if it's US that you're applying at, so please take a look at the US rankings as well, and US news ranking in particular, and also check the department ranking that they have. So when you get the national rankings, that means that if some universities are in the top 20, they're actually pretty good. Even in the top 50 are amazing, because they have like nearly 700, 800 or more than that, universities and colleges there. So if you're talking about that, then ranking, as I said initially as well, is not the only factor for you to finalize universities. A lot of other things. I'm not sure when you joined, but that question was kind of answered before. But yes, look at the budget part of it, look at the location, also check the modules there, right? And also take a look at whether you're actually interested to study that program or not. Because if you choose anything with a ranking, I'll give you a very small example. I had, of course, I've had many students, but one of these students I remember, I think her name was Priya. So she actually got an admit from UC Berkeley, Michigan Ann Arbor, and she got SUNY Buffalo as well for MIS. Now, she had been working for a couple of years, like 2-3 years, and she was so, she was very happy with those admits that she received, the high ranked ones, but she was in a dilemma which ones to choose, because SUNY Buffalo actually offered those modules to her, which she wanted to learn and which would help her to grow, professionally. So it was actually a dilemma, and she said, I'm sure that you might be, kind of cursing me. Why isn't she choosing the top ranked ones? But I said, no, it's not that. If you are comfortable and if you know that you'll be learning more than the other ones, those modules don't suit or fit the bill, then yes, go ahead with university which helps you to grow. And she's actually doing well. She's already got a job as well. She completed last year and she's already got a job because SUNY Buffalo is in New York. So she got a lot of options. She had previous work as well. So I think a lot of these things should also be taken into account. Never, ever finalize a shortlist just based on the rankings, guy. you will always go wrong. I have had a lot of students do that. Rankings ke basis pe karte hain, but they don't check their profile or their requirements against the universities as well. By requirements, I mean everything, all your preferences and everything into account. So yes, please don't do that. That's a bad thing to do. I am always against it. Rankings are not the only things that should be there. Yeah.
Right. And also, since we mentioned this, and I am speaking personally to a lot of students who've gotten top admits this year, and almost all of them actually, it's quite kind of funny that they've received top admits, and they've always said that we actually wanted to build a profile first, and Ivy was not on their mind. Essentially, they were more focused on their profile, and when they started applying, a lot of things came about. So having looked at so many profiles and throughout your experience, so what is one thing that usually stands out in a university application? Let's say if I am applying or anybody else here is applying, what would be something that would make me stand out particularly from the rest of the competition?
Okay, I think this is related to something that you mentioned before, Morvi. So if you talk about standing out, it also depends. The first thing is what kind of programs you're looking at. But if you're talking about US specifically and even the other top ranked institutions, I think the first thing, a couple of things go into there. Your research, the research that you've done. Because see, India is slightly different when it comes to research. We don't have a lot of funding here, right? So a lot of universities are not focused on research. They don't have private funding or government funding. When you talk about universities abroad, they have immense research going on at a lot of universities. I'm sure if you guys do read, go through the net, if there is any research that comes about, say for applied sciences, engineering, nanotechnology, MLAI, you will see a lot of people from these universities and sharing their research. It's the universities which actually do the research. They don't have industries or specific companies where research goes on, right? So if you have a good research profile, if you have under your belt, say at the national level, right, even international level, I've had a lot of students who published the papers in international journals as well. They worked with professors from other universities, like overseas universities as well, got in touch with them through LinkedIn and all these other places, through their own universities as well. A lot of your universities, I'm sure, might have some tie-ups or some exchange programs or something with these universities. Get in touch with them. You still have a bit of time. If you can get some projects under your belt, research, yes, takes a bit of time, around 8 to 9 months at least. And yes, this will actually kind of help you stand out. And as Morvi also said before this, that it shouldn't just be a normal research like everybody's doing the same thing. It should be something that you're interested in, where you can point it out on your SOP. Okay, this is why I did the research, because I was inclined towards it. I had an interest towards it. And when I actually did the research, something different came out of it, or something you kind of realized a lot, or you added to the research in your university, at your university, or somewhere else. So that is something which should be taken into account. So yeah, internships are also something which can help during your bachelor degree. If you've done certain internships, you work for a while, you've actually contributed something to those companies. And the third is, I've seen a lot of students, especially from the engineering side, who have their own startups as well. So that is something which is pretty good. I've had students with startups doing a lot of things, completing the bachelor's as well, and actually making a difference through their startups. So even that helps. So yes, that is something which makes a lot of difference, or adds more weight to your profile. So yeah, that will help.
Right. And for people who are still doing their engineering, one thing that I also recently found out is that your capstone project would also help. So if you're steering your capstone project, your final year project, into something that's making an impact, because then you don't have to do volunteering or NGO work separately. You can actually show your passion there also. So can we talk a little about scholarship? I've gotten a lot of questions for scholarship, and one from Mosami actually piqued my interest the most. So she asked that there are some universities which are still waived off GRE for spring 2024. Can I go ahead and apply, or is there some hidden scam in it, like not getting scholarship, etc.? So building off of that, I have a couple of questions for scholarship, but let's start there.
Okay, so the first thing is, I'll just kind of clear this air about the GRE part, as I've done in the other sessions as well. It's not a scam. Actually, see, GRE is something which was, of course, required, or it was mandatory if you talk about the US previously. But there have always been certain departments where GRE has never been required, like the social sciences or certain sciences as well. So if we talk about the GRE mandatory requirement and the optional part, this started off post-COVID, right? So there were a lot of people who had to take GRE, the GRE home exam. Which of course you don't go to the center, you take it there. So there were a lot of things that happened during the home exams which kind of didn't work out well. GRE ETS, they also got to know that there were a lot of things happening during those exams. So a lot of universities, what they did was they kind of had this thought that maybe they should make it mandatory and optional, or not required at certain universities. So you'll have three kinds of options there. The first would be, yes, it is required. They'll say yes, the GRE score is required. The higher the ranked university, the higher score you require. The second set of universities would say it's optional. So when you have that optional, it's a little tricky, right? So optional doesn't mean that if you have a low score of 298 or 300, you add that. No, please don't do that. If you have a good GRE score, only add it then. But yes, if you have a good GRE score, it will be taken into account when they are giving out admissions or even scholarships, right? The third would be not mandatory at all. So you can skip that. If they also mention under that, your GRE scores, even if you attach, will not be taken into account for the admission process or the scholarship process. So you don't need to worry about that. But if you talk about mandatory and optional, then yes, it would always be a good idea to add your GRE score.
Right. And this is something that I think for scholarships, talking about scholarships, I think a lot of people don't realize this, that you don't have to, most of the time, you don't have to apply separately for a scholarship. You will get the scholarship with your admit. So are like profiles valued separately for these scholarships, especially when we're talking about excellence scholarship or merit-based scholarships. So what are the criteria for those?
Okay. So when we talk about scholarships, as we know that, there are different kinds of scholarships that are on offer. So when we talk about scholarships which are not of a very high amount, say, for example, up to $20,000 or $15,000 or up to whatever it is, pounds as well. Those scholarships are generally offered to students once they start receiving admits. So you kind of have an attached offer letter, scholarship letter along with your admit, or you receive it after a couple of days or weeks. So that is also there. The other kinds of scholarships where it's of a higher amount, say 50% or 100%, 100% generally comes for bachelors as well. So for those, you have a separate system of application as well on their own websites. And the best part here is when you get an admit, you start receiving a lot of emails from these universities telling you that there are scholarships open, so please apply. This is the deadline, you can actually apply. So you have to apply separately for those, and they'll ask you to write certain essays, certain questions that you actually need to answer. And one of the major questions that they'll ask is, why should you be given the scholarship? And it's a very tricky question. Students are like, a lot of students, sometimes I have been asked that, can't we write that we have a low level of income? I said, no, you can't do that. You're going to the US, you're paying nearly 80 lakhs. So if you say you have a low income or something, that they don't buy it, right? So it's basically on merit or on the kind of profile that you have. So you need to show a couple of things which might be similar to the SOP that you've written. So you need to kind of get a couple of highlights out or accomplishments out from there, and show the kind of progression that you've had during your degree or work, a couple of differences that you've made within the society or within your company or even your university. So you need to show that side of you, which kind of helps them to understand that once you're there with them, and if they do offer you a scholarship, you would be willing to do a lot of things for the university as well. Sometimes they pick, scholarship students to become their ambassadors. So you'll have to kind of full-fledgedly help them with that as well, right? So I've had a lot of students do that, like they've got 100% scholarships, but you do have to do a lot of things for the university. So you can't go there and refuse. So guys, understand that if they ask you to do certain things, being an ambassador for a university is amazing. You get to meet such a lot of people. You represent the university in different states in the US or different cities in some other countries as well. So that actually helps you grow. And it's an amazing experience. I've had that a feedback from a lot of students as well going into that. And after just say 6 months or 7 months, I've seen the changes in them like amazing. Bachelor students have grown like 6 months mein, 7 months mein, they've like grown to such an extent. And when I hear them talk, I'm like, okay, you wouldn't have been able to do that if you were here. So that also happens. So yeah, scholarships are there, and always good to apply for fall intakes for scholarships, guys, if you're talking about US or UK, because the major scholarships are available during that time, because they have a different system of the financial year is different for them. So they get the funding ready in the first quarter of a year, and then that funding is first utilized for your fall intake. That's the major one, and then your spring intake. And yes, all the universities will be open for all the programs in fall. So you don't have that option that where you'll have to specifically choose, right? That I can only apply to these and not to these. So yeah, that's another thing.
I think you just settled the debate that usually goes on a lot is I want to apply in spring or fall,
Yeah.
spring or fall. So I think Vitrag had the same question. And I think Vitrag, we answered your spring fall debate, but now he has a separate question is that can a
Career
career
change
impact admissions or visa?
Yep. Okay. It doesn't impact your admissions or visa. So career change means if, for example, else, you've been working at a completely different area, and now you want to go in for a program which is related to your work experience, right? Then you can actually go in for that. You will have to mention that, okay, I did this program. Say, for example, I'll give you a student who had metallurgy, right? He actually went in for metallurgy here at one of the IITs. Why? Because he got a seat at IIT, because it's a known name, right? All across the world. So he went in for that, but he went in for CS. He actually went in for CS because we looked for certain universities for him, and he had worked, he had done internships, he had done certain courses and certifications as well. So you can actually do that. But if you talk about a change, like there is no connection, you haven't done anything which helps the admissions committee to understand that you have an interest in a certain area, then it would be a tad bit difficult for you to get admissions as well. So that is something that would impact the admissions. But yes, if you get the admissions, then visa would be something where we can help you with. We'll kind of make you understand what to say, what not to say. So that works. But yes, impact, it would a negative impact would only happen if there is no connection between what you've done and what you're going in for at all. So we help you there, right? So we kind of help you to look for those connects there. If you've done internships, if you've done certain modules or certifications outside your bachelor's or during your bachelor's, it helps. So yeah.
And Fiona is not lying when
More
she
questions.
actually says that more questions, a lot of questions actually. And I just want to quickly just mention this anecdote is that your counselors will actually pick the links that you feel are not even necessary. I did my bachelor's in journalism, and I'm essentially going for a brand management business program. So I made a huge change, and my counselors were actually able to pick small things from my profile that this is the linker, this is the connect.
Yes.
And even when we were talking about changing your SOP, I've done that thousands of times where I've just told my counselor in the middle of the night that I've just realized that this is not showing my passion. So we need to change. So guys, it's completely fine if you change your this thing, as long as you have the proper guidance and you have the proper direction and mentorship on how to do it and why are you doing it. So yeah, that will be solved.
Yeah.
You can actually see the number of questions kind of piling up. Yeah. So I think Devesh's question we've already answered, that when to apply to get the best scholarship 2024. Yeah. Priority deadline early.
Yeah.
Okay, so double masters, will it be an area of concern?
No, it shouldn't be an area of concern. Again, it all depends on the profile, the kind of program that you've done. If you've done MS CS out here in India, and you're also going in for the same program, then yes, that would be a bit of a problem. Choose a specialization. If you've done CS here, I'm just giving you an example, right? It's not necessarily that you've done a CS. If you've done CS here, then maybe pick a specialization like MLAI, robotics, or what else? IoT, data analytics. So MSBA, you can actually go in for those area. So that would not be a problem because it would be something which is branching out of whatever you've done here. But if it's completely different, you've done a master's, say for example, a master's of commerce here, and now you want to go in for something like CS or something, you won't meet the prerequisites any which way, so you won't be able to go. But double masters is something where you will have to understand that you can only go for certain specialized courses. If you've already done a specialized course, then you'll have to think it over. So that's basically how you'll have to go about it. But yes, again, I don't know your area, so I can't comment on that part. But the counselors, that's why they're there. They'll be able to help you out. So yeah, and of course, you can check the modules as well. Even if you're going in for a CS program or another CS program, you can check whether the modules are similar to what you've already done. If not, if they're completely different, if the electives are something different that you can choose, then you can go ahead and do it. There's no issue. So yeah, that's the answer there.
I think we've gotten a question from a parent here, and say that my son is building his profile to get into Ivy League college in US for undergrad in computer science for 2024 fall. And my query is that if we apply for scholarship, will it reduce our chances to get into those colleges?
I think scholarships come a little later. You first have to apply at those colleges to get the admit letters. So once you get the admits, then the scholarships will kind of come on there. So you can build your profile and everything. You still have a bit of time, I'm sure. By October, you'll have to kind of push your applications, November, December, early deadlines. So just make sure that you have the differences between early action and early decision deadlines, because there are a couple of limitations there. So please go through that with your counselor if you already have one. If not, then yes, a counselor would help you. But yes, scholarships will not reduce your chances of getting into colleges. There are certain universities which are moderate to safe, where plenty of scholarships are available. If you talk about 80 to 100%, we have had a lot of bachelor students even this time getting 100% scholarships as well. But those universities will not be the top ranked ones like you're talking about Ivy League. The more higher ranked a university is, the amount of scholarships are not that high. So that's like a general thing for everyone. But yes, you can get certain scholarships in the first year. If the student does well or maintains the GPA or grade, then it kind of moves over and you can get it for the second year as well. So that is how it works. Even if a student gets a scholarship for all the 4 years, it doesn't mean you'll get it in one go. The students have to keep maintaining their grades, whatever they're doing during those 4 years. So, but yeah, it doesn't reduce your chances of getting into colleges, ma'am or sir. You'll actually have to basically check those colleges. Ivy League is one set. You can also have some good options where we choose specifically where you for giving out scholarships. So yeah, but no, if you have a good profile, you'll get admits. Scholarships will come later. Yeah.
Right. And actually on the same note is that I see a lot of people asking this question on what should I do this, which are very specific to profile. So guys, if you actually want clear guidance on your profile, here it's the same thing that you ask a question, we'll be able to answer your question, but you won't be able to understand how it fits in your profile. And I asked this question, I think in a poll, that how many of you are aware about Yocket Premium? And a lot of them said that I didn't know about Yocket Premium. So guys, Fiona here is from Yocket Premium. And let me just talk a little about here, because I don't think a lot of people know about it. So Yocket Premium is obviously a paid side of counseling, and it's an end-to-end solution from where we help you from choosing the right course, countries, and then shortlisting universities, which I think a lot of you had a dilemma in between. So we help you in choosing the universities, help you with shortlisting them. Then all the things that I think Fiona shared today will be catered to your profile for profile building. And since a lot of people are actually looking to aim at top universities, the reason why you guys are here. So the reason that we help you with building profile in general is that you help to stand out, and your profile actually reflects really well. Then again, we'll help you with your SOP, your LOR, resume, documents, everything. And mind you guys, you have to write a separate SOP for each university that you'll be applying to. You can't write the same thing. So that in itself is a huge task. We'll be helping you with that as well. We'll get a team of counselors. So there'll be a lead counselor, primary counselor. There'll be an applications reviewer who will help you review your applications before you hit send. And before you pay the application fee, you have an editor who will help you throughout the process. You have a financial advisor who will actually take care of your loans for you. And then finally, as Fiona mentioned, that we'll also have a visa advisor for you. So our visa success rate has been crazy in this industry. And since US right now, for a lot of people, it's a tough nut to crack for in terms of visa. We make sure that your visa is there and you're flying out of the country. So for today, since Fiona is here and she's the counseling manager for us, we're actually providing a really special discount for people who want to aim and get into top universities and who are also looking for scholarship. Because did I mention this, that you guys will also get proper guidance for scholarship, for research and teaching assistantship. I think this year has been crazy. We've gotten an average of $10,000, $11,000, $5,000 scholarship per admit. So if you're looking to aim to top universities, top scholarship, all you need to do is you need to actually talk to a counselor. For that, you need to drop your numbers in. Anybody who wants to get for Yocket Premium, anybody who wants to get a flat discount rate at Yocket Premium today to get into top universities and make sure that your process is starting, drop your numbers in the Q&A and our counselors will get in touch with you, understand your profile, and we'll map out the next steps for you. So anybody who's interested in understanding their profile thoroughly and then starting their journey right to top universities, all you need to do is drop in your number. You can drop it in the Q&A. Nobody else will be able to see it but us, and then we'll take it from there. So in the meantime, till the people are dropping the numbers, we'll also just take care of all the questions that are coming in, just a few of them. What else? From where did we end? Okay, we have Gurashish who says that I've done my undergrad in CS, but if I want to pursue MS in data science with no prior experience, is there a chance to get an admit?
Of course, there is. See, data science is one area where you can actually apply, one of the areas where you can apply directly after CS. A lot of students do that. You don't have to have work experience. See, work experience is something which helps students to have some kind of exposure before they actually land in a country. And that kind of helps them to get maybe higher paid jobs or something like that. But that is not something which can stop you from applying. You meet the prerequisites because you're a CS student and you can actually apply for a data science program anywhere, wherever your profile fits. So no, there's no prior experiences not required for science programs. It's basically more for business related programs. Like even engineering management, there are certain places where you require at least 1 to 2 years of experience. For MBA, it is always advisable to have some experience because you'll be amongst a class of people where, you know, a lot of people come from different areas. You won't be able to contribute much, right, if you don't have any experience. So in those programs, yes, but for sciences, engineering, no, it's not required.
Right. Okay. And I think Vitrak here has another question, that what other things can we add in our profile to cover our CGPA? Vitrak, I think it would be best that you ask this question to a counselor, because I think Fiona here is going to tell you all the things that you can do. But how does it fit in your profile if you actually want to make sure that this is a very specific industry-based answer that you're getting based on your profile? Then all you need to do is drop in your number and you can actually connect with a counselor who will tell you exactly what needs to happen. So Vitrak, this one was for you. Shrikar, I think Shrikar is going for bachelor's, just for a little knowledge. And he has asked a very interesting question, is that how many students manage to repay the loan which they've received from their studies? And yeah, this was the question, I think.
He's asked it twice, so I'll answer it. All right, so Shrikar, I think, see, that of course depends again on a couple of factors. The first thing is the kind of program that you're going in for, whether it is a program where you can actually start working right after you complete it. So if it's something like an engineering program or something to do with if in the business area, if it's finance or economics or something, then yes, you can actually have more options of getting jobs after your bachelor's complete. Engineering, maybe also there are like a couple of areas like mechanical, CS, these kind of areas that can actually help you get jobs. The second thing is the cities that you actually choose, right? So at a bachelor's level, I think it would be, it's different for bachelor students because you need to choose a city where you can actually, you have to live there for at least 4 years, right? So you should be in a place where you can get jobs after the completion of your bachelor. So that also kind of factors into this decision. And when you talk about repaying the loan, the rest of it depends on the students, guys. I mean, that's upon a lot of students, whether they want to work or they don't want to work. There are certain students who shy away from certain areas of work, right? But I think every opportunity should be taken as it comes. So even if you get internships where you don't get paid during your bachelor's, please go ahead and once you complete your bachelor's, it will help you to get jobs as well. So yeah, but yes, everybody has to keep their eyes and ears open. The more networking you do, the more out there you are, the more options you will get. And yes, you can repay the loan if you have a stable job and everything. It's possible. It's very much possible. Yeah.
Very interesting questions for this particular session. I think with scams and loan and
I like the questions.
Yeah, definitely. Very
Different
interesting questions for sure.
Yeah.
So guys, we'll just take final one more question, Fiona. And in the meanwhile, guys, you have one final minute to drop in your numbers. Anybody can, if you want to get into top university, if you want to get to Yocket Premium, final 1 minute for anybody. Fiona, you can choose the question that you want to answer.
Okay.
Any interesting question that you can see.
I can actually answer this question. I think Ragved has asked this question, will a gap year affect graduation? After graduation affect my admission chances? So I think this is something which a lot of students might have in their minds as well. It's a very general question. So yes, I mean, a gap year will depend. If it's an academic gap year, say after your graduation, you have not done anything at all, then yes, you'll have to kind of let them know as to what you've been doing. If you've been doing research or you've been into internships, not exactly working full time, then you'll have to account for something. Especially when you talk about countries where the PR option is open, then you will have to show something or you will have.
Oh, I think Fiona just lost her connection. Okay, so
in general would not affect your admission if you give proper evidence or if you give proper clarification, it won't impact it that much. Yeah.
Okay, so I hope that this answer was clear. And thank you so much for today's amazing session, guys. And Fiona, as usual, it's lovely to always have you in these sessions. I think this becomes a very personal time where I get to ask all of the questions silently. But thank you so much for all the amazing insights yet again. And I'm sure that all of the people here must have also had an amazing, amazing time. So thank you so much, guys. And Vineet, you've asked the question. I think you've given your number, so we'll reach out to you there. And again, final 20 seconds for anybody willing to give in their numbers. And yeah, thank you so much for this awesome session. And thank you so much, Fiona, for coming here and dropping in and giving us these amazing insights. I actually look forward to sessions like this with the entire team, in fact, with all the counselors, with all the editors. It's always a lovely, lovely time to have you here. And thank you so much to everybody here who has been really passionate about their journey. We've had a lot of questions this time around. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you so much, Mori, for having me on. And guys, start as soon as possible for the process. This is the right time. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you again next time for all the people who have dropped in their numbers. We'll wait in the session for just 1 more minute so that we'll just drop off. You guys can quickly go ahead and share your numbers so that we'll be able to reach you guys. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Fiona. And we'll see you again some next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Yes, guys, in the meanwhile, you can just quickly go ahead and drop your numbers, and it's just going to be final 30 seconds more that you guys will be able to drop in your numbers, and then we'll drop off after that. Also, you guys can let us know, how was today's session? Did you guys enjoy it? Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll see you again some next time.